So out of everything Noel has said so far, I think this is the single most valuable one because very few guys want to talk openly about this, yet it's extremely common in the fitness industry and it can actually cause a lot of problems for people and sometimes very serious problems. What's up guys, Sean Nalawani, RealScienceAthletics.com, and chances are that you've probably seen this dude show up in your video recommendations at some point by now. Noel Deisel, he's pretty quickly become the fastest growing fitness YouTuber ever in history. At the time of this recording, he's averaging 16,000 new subscribers per day, which is complete and total insanity. And I've gotten a lot of DMs from you guys asking about his content, because if there's one thing that we know about online fitness, it's that having tons of views and subscribers doesn't necessarily correlate to the quality of someone's actual fitness advice. So I went ahead and watched pretty much all of his videos because they're mostly really short clips. He actually got his start over on TikTok and then posted the content over to YouTube. And today I'm gonna play some of his videos and give you my reaction. I think some of it is really good. Some of it is not quite as good, but either way, nothing at all personal here. Noel seems like a genuine guy who truly wants to help people. So this is just me responding objectively to the actual information itself, with the goal being, as always, to help you achieve the very best results from your fitness program. So even if Noel's content doesn't interest you personally, I'd still recommend watching this video all the way through because it is going to contain plenty of useful training, nutrition, and supplementation information either way. So let's jump into it, and I've sped his clips up slightly just to make this a bit more time efficient.
I am sick of fake influencers. My issue with it is that these people's lifestyles and physiques are mostly unattainable. I've never claimed to be natural, but know far too many people that do when they're not. Or have even had surgery, but on social media claim it's a result of their new lifestyle changes. Or they just straight up pay someone to perfectly manipulate their pictures. Or buy likes and followers to get paid brand deals for products they don't even believe in.
So I don't think there'd be any surprise that this would be something I'd be totally on board with. Now, it's not like this is some kind of groundbreaking new information. A lot of fitness content creators do address these subjects as well. But I think because Noel really fits that sort of enhanced bodybuilder stereotype, yet he's talking about these things openly in a sincere, down-to-earth way, I think that's what causes people to really pay attention, and that's what's driving the mass appeal of his content. And that's definitely a very positive thing, especially over on a platform like TikTok, where you've got that massive younger audience who really need to understand the truth about how the fitness industry works, because it undoubtedly is a complete shit show in so many ways. Rampant PED use, fake natties, unrealistic body fat standards, photo editing, surgeries, garbage products that are then sold based off of those things. And so the more and more people who are exposed to this kind of message, the better.
SARMs have been all over TikTok lately. But what are they? They research chemicals, marketed to have similar results as steroids without the side effects. I hear a lot of influencers, SARMs. But did they tell you the long-term effects? I'm guessing not. In my opinion, as a teenager or young adult, the risks far outweigh the result.
Again, this is absolutely a message that more and more people need to hear. There are just so many of these goofball fitness influencers just recklessly promoting SARMs to their audience with their 10% off discount code and saying that it's going to give them steroid-like gains without the side effects, when in reality, SARMs can still be potentially dangerous. They still have a wide variety of potential downsides, and the long-term effects still aren't known because they haven't been extensively researched.
This is effectively how to lose weight. Don't follow a fad diet. The only reason these work is because you're following a calorie deficit.
Yep, so no matter what specific diet we're talking about, whether it's keto, carnivore, low carb, paleo, fasting, fruitarian, breatharian, at the end of the day, it still comes down to the calorie deficit. None of these diets are going to give you some kind of special fat burning advantage. It's just that they all have certain rules in place, specific foods or macronutrients that you're going to cut down on or completely eliminate, or windows of the day where you can or can't eat. And those things indirectly end up reducing your overall calorie intake. Now, that doesn't mean that all of these diets are necessarily bad, but just keep in mind that you don't have to follow any sort of fancy, overcomplicated dieting strategy in order to get results. No individual foods or individual macronutrients are the cause of fat gain on their own. The cause of fat gain is consistently taking in more calories than you're burning, and the solution is the opposite.
You don't need gimmicky fat burners or a waist trainer. Chances are, if it looks too good to be true, it most probably is.
Yeah, obviously no argument there. There's just so much of this bullshit on TikTok and Instagram nowadays, and it really is crazy how many people actually fall for this stuff. Now, you could argue that that's just natural selection at play, but I would say that having Noel's videos circulating around on those platforms to help combat this stuff, that definitely is a good thing.
It's time to boost your metabolism. I recommend eating 5 to 6 smaller meals per day. This is the principle of more consistent and regular eating.
So if you prefer to eat 5 to 6 small meals a day, then that's totally fine. But just keep in mind that eating more frequently doesn't boost your metabolism. Okay, this was standard bodybuilding advice like 10 plus years ago, but it's been pretty thoroughly disproven in the research at this point. As far as fat loss goes, as long as you've got that calorie deficit in place, then the way that you specifically space your meals out during the day, that's not gonna make any real difference to your results. Fat loss is about what's happening in the bigger picture, not in these little small windows of a few hours here and there. So if you prefer larger meals less frequently, that's okay too. Just go with the daily meal structure that you enjoy most and that you're most likely going to be able to stick to.
Since school never taught you how to do taxes, I'm going to. You're going to need taxes. I'm going to teach you how to get a double D man chest, bench press. This isolated exercise is going to give you that cleavage.
Now, I know a lot of beginners out there are going to think, well, Noel has a huge chest, and so this must be a great exercise. And I see you guys pumping these out all the time in the gym, but I promise you that Noel's chest development was not a direct result of doing these little pinch presses, and that the majority of it, if not all of it, would have come from other more basic movements. This is actually a really deceiving exercise because it really feels like it's hitting your chest hard, but that's only because you're squeezing your hands together and flexing the whole time. Most of that sensation that you're feeling is not a result of the pecs actually being directly loaded by the resistance. If anything, this would be more of a triceps movement because your elbows are tucked in and it's more elbow extension as opposed to bringing your upper arm across your body, which is what the chest actually does. And aside from that, there's no way to specifically target your inner chest either. You can target upper and lower to some degree, but not inner and outer.
The bench press is king, so I like to take it slow, follow along with my timing.
So yeah, barbell presses are obviously an effective all-around chest building movement. Are they the king of chest exercises? I would say that if you're not a power lifter and if hypertrophy is your primary goal, then dumbbell presses are probably gonna be the better choice overall because they put your wrists and your elbows into a more natural position and they optimize the line of pull on your pecs. But you can just try both a barbell press and a dumbbell press and see which one you personally prefer, or you can just include both of them in your program.
A more vertical pull will work your lat, whilst the more horizontal pull works more your inner upper back.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you're doing pull downs and you're leaning back with your chest up and your lower back arched, then that's really gonna hone in on the upper back muscles. Whereas if you stay more upright, then that'll help to bring the lats more into the equation. But also keep in mind that if you want the lats to be the primary mover in the exercise, then not only do you wanna have your torso upright, but you also wanna be using a narrower grip with your elbows tucked into your sides so that you're focusing on shoulder extension, which is the main function of the lats.
Your forearms might be affecting your leg and back development. Your forearms are much smaller muscles, though they can be strong as hell. But when doing a grip-intensive exercise, like a deadlift, your forearms are most likely to fatigue first. This leads to early failure and lack of gains. So you can work on your grip strength. Alternatively, a simple way around it would be to use lifting straps.
Yeah, this is something I definitely agree with, and I've talked about it many, many times over the years. If you're doing rows or shrugs or deadlifts and your grip is giving out before your back or legs, then ultimately you're completely short-circuiting the exercise and you're making it way less effective because your forearms are what end up being the primary target. So don't listen to some of these hardcore lifters who try to tell you that lifting straps are for pussies or whatever.
You guys are all a bunch of pussies.
If hypertrophy is your main goal and your grip is giving out on certain heavier lifts, then you absolutely need to be using straps or hooks if you want those lifts to be effective for the actual muscle group that you're trying to target. And then if you want to build up your raw grip strength, you can just incorporate separate grip movements on the side. And if you're enjoying this video, then you can also give that like button a little squeeze for some extra forearm flexor stimulation.
Here's what you need to consume post-workout. After a big workout, you're going to need to give yourself a nice insulin response. You're going to need an easy digesting carbohydrate to bring on that insulin response. You're also going to need to get yourself a high quality protein to help boost that protein synthesis and recovery.
So this one here is pretty outdated advice, the whole anabolic window post-workout shake approach. This was standard bodybuilding advice back in the day, and if you want to have a liquid post-workout shake, then that's fine, but it's definitely not a must either. Chicken and potatoes or steak and rice, that's completely fine fine too. And most importantly, you really don't need to be buying some fancy overpriced post-workout carbohydrate powder in order to spike your insulin, okay? That's a total waste of money, and you can easily get all of the carbs that you need from regular whole foods, not to mention that carb powders are pure empty calories as well.
Additionally, you could throw in some BCAAs, some glutamine, creatine, or even electrolytes.
So creatine is, of course, a solid supplement. The specific timing doesn't actually matter, but you can have it post-workout if you want. But BCAAs and glutamine, these are really just unnecessary and they're a waste of your money. Your regular daily protein intake is going to cover all of your BCAA and your glutamine needs, as long as you're getting somewhere in that 0.8 gram per pound of body weight level or higher per day. And just dumping extra BCAA and glutamine powder on top of that is not going to give you any extra benefits. And I did find this post-workout shake video a little bit confusing because not long before this video, he posted this one.
I'm on a whole nother level. Barely only fuck you off the level. Down.
So I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
What are the best workouts to burn fat? In case you didn't know, there aren't any. These burn 800 calorie workouts that you see all over social media are somewhat misleading. The calories I burn during the same workout would be different to you, and it's because of these variables. The best approach to weight loss is having a base of cutting calories, and any workout you do is helping you burn off calories. The food you eat and calories you burn determine your results.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Most people way overestimate how many calories they're actually burning through cardio. Okay, you're not gonna do one of these YouTube or Instagram or TikTok hit circuit workouts and burn 1,000 calories or 800 calories or even 500 calories most likely. Now, cardio has a lot of overall physical and mental health benefits, but from a pure fat loss perspective, just remember that it's one tool in the toolbox, and in most cases, it's more of a supplemental tool, with your diet being the most important factor to focus on.
This might be why you're not losing weight. This is a tablespoon of olive oil that you cook your chicken with. That olive oil almost has the same amount of calories as the chicken itself. You need to account for absolutely everything you consume. These small things could throw you off your progress in a big way.
Super important tip here that a lot of people overlook. They think, oh, cooking with olive oil is good because it's healthy fat, and my trainer told me that if I want to lose weight, then I should eat more healthy fats. Now, obviously, consuming enough dietary fat is important for overall health, but again, calories in versus calories out is what fat loss comes down to, and oils are the most calorically dense thing you can possibly consume. 1 tablespoon of olive oil alone has 14 grams of fat or 126 calories, which is just an insane number of calories for that really small volume. And most people are probably using a lot more than 1 tablespoon if they're cooking with it. If you're gonna use anything for cooking, then just use a tiny bit of cooking spray, okay? Just a really quick just to coat the pan. And in case that wasn't clear and you need another demonstration, zoom in here. Ready? Just like that.
Millions of guys suffer from body dysmorphia, and we don't even acknowledge it. I get a lot of messages every day from guys that are depressed because they are not tall enough, have bad skin, are going bald, are skinny, overweight, or even have a small PP. They perceive these as flaws, causing them depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Whilst most of the time, the flaw doesn't exist or is grossly exaggerated. We act like tough guys with muscles, testosterone, but this sort of stuff does affect us, and we need to acknowledge it instead of suppressing it. There is a fine line between wanting self-improvement and body dysmorphia. But if you're not sure, do some research or see a medical professional.
So out of everything Noel has said so far, I think this is the single most valuable one, because very few guys want to talk openly about this, yet it's extremely common in the fitness industry, and it can actually cause a lot of problems for people, and sometimes very serious problems. If you get overly wrapped up in the sort of aesthetic side of things, you know, you're spending hours and hours scrolling through perfectly optimized pictures of enhanced lifters on social media, it really does start warping your perception of reality, because your standard for what an impressive physique looks like gets massively inflated, and then the standard that you have for yourself also inflates along with it. So even though you might have a top, let's say 1 to 2% physique relative to the general population, a physique that the average person would look at and consider top tier, you might still feel completely inadequate because you're constantly comparing yourself to the top 0.00001%. So this is a topic that I could easily dedicate an entire video to, and I probably will at some point, but it's good to see Noel talking about this, given how big of a following that he has and how many people probably need to hear it. So all in all, I would say that I definitely agree with Noel's content on an overall big picture level, just in terms of, you know, the overarching message that he's putting out there. Most of it is pretty basic, straightforward advice, but because he got his start over on TikTok, his audience is naturally going to skew more towards those younger beginners. And so even though it might seem like pretty simple stuff, you know, eat more protein, train hard, stay consistent, get a proper sleep, that's actually the kind of advice that his audience needs to hear the most. Now, where I would disagree on is some of the more specific practical advice. The overall sort of training style seems to be more on the enhanced bodybuilder side of the spectrum, which probably won't be ideal for most natural lifters. There's some outdated nutrition and supplement information in there as well. And if you do want to grab a free program from me based on the principles that I would recommend for natural trainees, then you can visit seannell.com/custom. Just fill out the form there and I'll send you back a structured step-by-step workout and diet that you can follow based on your current physique and your goals. The link for that is up here as well as down below in the description box. But overall, I definitely think Noel is a positive force in the fitness space and that on the whole, the stuff he's putting out is definitely going to help people. Here are 2 more videos I'd recommend watching now. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to stay in the loop on all of my future content. For even more daily tips and updates, you can follow me over on Instagram as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.